He better go live. You're a riot. We'll just get goofy at the end. With that drone. Hi guys, how's it going? I didn't dip my mic in my tea. Now let's draw on something else. That'll work. There, let me just record a quick drone here. Let's see. Pardon me while I throw something in here. There we go. Let's see. Who's here today? Romper, stomper, bomper, boo. Tell me, do. Magic chat window, tell me today which of my friends are having fun while I play. Let's see. Craig and Don and Jeff and Steve. Davey and Lamont. And let's see. Marilyn and Andy. And Doman. And let's see. Quattro Pagina. Garen's floating around. Listening while driving. Do be careful. Let's see. Citizen. The Wookiee Music Smurf. I'm sorry, your name always makes me smile. Let's see. Viral Beats. Hey. And the other Steve? Not sure. Hold on. Let's see. Biscuit. Isaac. Hello, Isaac. More Ruiel. Oh my God. Something about that group of vowels just messes with me. I don't know if it's the Midwestern upbringing. I'm sorry. I'm just going to call you Morris from now on. Let's see. Hey, Recon. Good to see you. Recon, you and I can maintain that calendar just for fun. We won't ask Marilyn to do it. Let's see. Nick Destruct. Hey there, man. And anyone else? As always, please put like a capital Q or a double capital Q in front of anything you want me to make note of, or tag me if you're not on mobile, if you can. Radio Gnome. Wow, we've got another gnome. Another gnome in the house. All right. Is there any relation to Andy? I don't know. Radio Gnome, are you friends with Synchrotron? Are you family? We'll find out. Just say Axel. Okay. So I got to remember that Moruiel, who I call Morris, is Axel. I will try and remember that. And Radio Gnome is no relation to Synchrotron. Okay. So we have two gnomes in the house, two unrelated gnomes. Good to know. Synchrotron ain't a pothead pixie. Okay. So my wife brought me a pot pie home for lunch actually today. Unrelated form of pot. But anyway. So what's going on today? Okay, we're going back to sort of ambient Berlin soundtracky stuff today. Classic Berlin school, which that really wasn't too much, but that's okay. But we'll go through the synths real quick and I'll talk about what kind of sounds we've selected for the day. No flying teapots. And basically, let's go over this. So let's kill this drone. All right. We're here. Good. All right. So what do we got today? The usual. And then I wanted things that were soft pluck kind of things. I didn't want too many sharp things today. So that's a Korg Op6. And the delay and reverb are in heavy application today. So this Op6 is a nice little pluck lead. It's got a little sharp attack and then decays pretty quick to a sort of lower sustain. Aftertouch is very sensitive, and it brings in the vibrato. Patches like this teach me to have a lighter touch. And velocity ups the FM. So it's a nicely expressive sort of patch. All right. No tags or cues. Cool. So that's that. And then it's the wave state. I like this glockenspiel thing, but if we sustain, we get the sort of patented wave state moving through sample table, which I like. So I'm using that for drones, and then occasionally for high glockenspiel. All right. And then the mod wave has got this sort of texture pad going on. It's tempo synced. There's like an LFO bringing its level up and down, so it's not too repetitive. It doesn't get boring quite so fast. And if I just tap it, it's like a pan flute. That's fun for like little high ARP stuff, bubbly stuff. Like that. So. We'll see if I can get a not a copyright strike, but like a demonetization. There you go. Name this 90s band. So we'll see if that comes up in the chat. Play it once more. Am I seeing it? No? All right. I'll leave it out there. Really good guitar player in that band. And we talked about them a month ago. Anyway, I'll leave that for an exercise for the listener. And then, anyway, that was the mod wave. And then we've got, I haven't been really utilizing the third wave. And with the Behringer wave coming out now, we should be hearing a lot of this sort of sound. So today I sort of pushed for something that was very PPG-like patch. And with all things PPG, you need to really sustain it to hear it. I just love those crystalline sort of sounds. So if you like this sound, go pay $27 for the Waldorf PPG 3.0 VST. And if you want it in hardware on the cheap, you could go pre-order a Behringer Wave. It's going to sound a lot like this in hardware. Yeah, third wave is great. I just, the PPG in general is great, but like getting an actual PPG is cost prohibitive, and also who wants to maintain vintage hardware who isn't Kent Spong? Kent's really good at vintage hardware. I am not. So, and the third wave from Groove Synthesis is very nice, but it's very expensive. And again, I'm not rich. I'm just irresponsible with my money. But I also pre-ordered my third wave back when it was just a glimmer in the mind's eye, when they were like, we're going to do this thing. Who wants to give us money up front? I was like, yes, please, because there was no hope of getting a PPG at that time, right? I didn't want to maintain vintage, couldn't even find one. And Behringer's idea hadn't even, wasn't even a flash in Uli Behringer's loins. So I was like, yep. And they would let me, and they let you do payments. So you split it up. You paid a little bit, and you paid a little bit. And then when it shipped eventually a year later, you got one. That's how I got mine. So don't mistake that for financial solvency. Oh, Steve, you picked it up? Yeah, I couldn't say no. So the day Behringer announced that the Behringer Wave was coming out, coincidentally, Waldorf said, "Oh, and by the way, our software version is on sale for $29, down from like $200 or something crazy." So it was like, "Oh, really?" So anyway, I love these sounds, and you don't even need the Waldorf one. That's more like if you want the panel sort of programming mechanism, because the PPG wavetables are out. I'm not going to say in the public domain, but they are wildly available. So you can just put them in whatever wavetable synth you use, right? Questions. Nope. Yeah, I'm not. That's right. I'm Luke Craig. Let's see. This is a Nord Wave 2. Last week we were showing the Novation Summit off as the sort of horn lead, and I wanted a different horn lead this week. So we're using the Nord for this. This one's great with this echo and reverb. It's great for dive bombs. Right? Nothing's more fun than a dive bomb with a lot of echo. In fact, let's make it stupid. We'll do this. Yeah. Way too much feedback. Question from Craig. How different is the Nord Wave 2 from the Behringer Wave? They're completely different animals. The Behringer Wave is a PPG clone. The Nord Wave 2 is a Nord synthesizer / sampler. So it's got the Nord Lead A1 engine in it for synthesis. And then it also has the Nord sample engine in it, like from their stage keyboards. Which is really nice. We were talking to someone today on Discord, actually. They were asking, what samplers do people like? And I really like, my favorite hardware sampler is the Nord Wave 2. But the problem is, it's not like an old Akai. It's not like the Akai series samplers where you sample into it and then you manipulate the sample and then, slice it and stretch it and stuff like that. The Wave 2 is just a player, or you could do some manipulation from a synthesis, from like a subtractive synthesis perspective, and you could play with start and end points and things like that. But there's no stretching internally. But the one thing Nord does really well is their support software works really well. It's easy to use. It's super stable. It's like kept up to date. And so the Nord sample editing tools are fantastic. So record your samples in whatever you want, and then you dump them into the Nord sample editor app, run it, and then it's trivially easy to just throw them over into the synth itself, and then you build your patches with whatever you want. So yeah, but it's a different critter, Craig, not the same. Make it stupider. Absolutely. Let's see. Okay. So that's our lead for now. And then on the Summit, which had been doing the horn lead last week, we're doing something that's like a sustained E-piano. Like if an E-piano sustained instead of, coming down from a piano style envelope. And like the Op 6, velocity gives it a bit more bite. And then mod wheel is like expression. Everything's a wash in delay and reverb today, because why not? I was going to do this. We're going to try and use a little bit less of the sub on the bass guitar today. And I'm sorry, Audrey, if you're here, a little less sub so that I could play more chords. Because when you use the sub, the chords get real muddy. I mean, I like that texture, but it doesn't play nice with other things. So if you're doing like solo stuff, that feels good to me right now in isolation, but if you put it in the mix, it's too much. I just like that. I'm going to let it sustain for a minute. Sounds good. Oh yeah, so the bass is a polyphonic instrument, but the sub that's under it is monophonic, and the last note in wins. So if you're going to play intervals or chords, and you've layered a polyphonic instrument with a monophonic instrument, when you play your chord, the last note to play in the chord is the one that gets the sub. So if I go up and play the high note last, that sub is up there. If I play it last, I'm holding down the same notes, but because I played it high note then low note, the sub goes an octave below. Difference. So that's another sort of expressive sort of thing you can mess with when you're building your synth patches. Anyway, but to the point I was saying is I wanted the bass to be clean. And I have a new bass library. Well, it's not a new bass library, it's an old bass library. But I have neglected reading the manual, right? So I haven't been using it. But supposedly it is much more programmable with a lot more articulations than the Rick bass that I'm using here. So I may have a new bass patch in the coming weeks that has a bit more, even more articulation, which, you know, it's the experiment that I'm going to try and do. It's from a company called Impact Soundworks. I don't know. The library is called Abyss, and it's in the shreddage line of guitar sample libraries. But the bass is called Abyss. Sort of aimed at metal, but I'm trying to pull a Rick out of it. Steve says, what is the bass? Sampled with an added sub. Yeah, we've talked about this, man. There's a video, Synth Seeker Rick bass. Go watch the video. It's mostly Omnisphere, or the Trillion library for Omnisphere. And then the sub is a Moog Taurus synth is the sub. Although I don't own a Taurus because they're too expensive. And they're vintage, and I don't want to keep it working. So I just use a virtual one. Let's see. Hey, Quasar. Homegrown. Simon, great batch. A bunch of people came in. Will D, hello. Hey, Joe Johnston. How's it going, man? Hope everything's well. Who else? Wookie. Anyone else pop in? Any questions besides that? Let me just quickly scan. No. All right. So anyway, so that's the sounds for today. So going back to Berlin School, let's do this. Bring the tempo up just a little bit. And let's do a very short. All right, this may take me a second to get this right. What key are we in? We're in minor, B flat minor. And I just want to set the record straight here. I tease Trusto a lot about B flat. I actually love B flat. B flat is my favorite root for any key because for my bass, let me flip back to the sub bass. B flat, like here, the sub is nice. And here, an octave lower, that's the lowest note from my perspective that the sub doesn't get buzzy on. Like when you play a low note with a sub below it, as you move down the keyboard, eventually you reach a point where the sub is just making clicking noises. It's like too low. It's below 20 hertz. And B flat happens to be the key where this low sub B flat, isn't clicky. It sounds good to me. So that's why I play in B flat a lot. And it's not because I'm teasing Lamont. Okay. So months ago, I started teasing Lamont about B flat, and I still carry it forward, but I'm not teasing you. I actually like B flat. Okay. We can argue about it on Discord. Would you be able to describe the patch you have on the Op6 if it's convenient, says Isaac Hensing. Yeah. So it's a patch called Velocity FM. It's one of the factory presets, I think. I can't like pull a camera up, but basically the operators are set up as operator 1 and 2 are stacked, and then operators 3, 4, 5, 6 are stacked. So you got 2 pillars there. And that's the algorithm that's in there. And the delay and reverb are actually coming from Ableton, although the stock effects on the chord are nice. If I should do a video on it for you because it's sort of a pain to do on the stream, but let's see. I will tell you this. All right. Operator 1 is C4. Operator 2 is C4, C4, C4. They're all C4. So all 6 operators are C4. They're all linear FM, both the low and the high curves. And for those of you who don't know what this means, don't worry about it. I'm just reading a label. I'm not explaining what it means because I'm not quite sure myself. My knowledge of FM is thin. Let's see. And the envelopes for all of the envelopes for operator 1 and 3 are standard piano style. So fast attack, a little bit of a decay, a good sustain, a little release. And all the mod operators for 4, 5, and 6 are the same. But the mod operator for operator 2 is just an attack decay. That's all I'm going to say. The easiest thing to say is it's called Velocity FM is the name of the preset, and it's one of the presets. So. All right, let's see. Where is the Wabbit? I don't know. He's around. He's, you may not have heard of Wabbit. He's pretty underground. But sorry. Let's see. Rabbit jokes. You just got your hands on one, Isaac? Yeah, the Op6 is a really fantastic synth. Joe Johnston, if you're still in here, tell Isaac if you can remember, what's the name of the YouTube channel? Is it Oscillator Sync? There's a guy who did a like 6 video series on programming the Op6, and it goes into absurd levels of detail and is like the best sort of video essay on how to program the Op6. I think it's Oscillator Sync. And it's on a playlist on his channel. Is the Op6 hardware? Yeah, it is. I've got a Series 1 Op6 from the old days with the sucky keyboard, although I tore the sucky keyboard off and mounted it in an aluminum enclosure. And I'm not a very good DIY guy. It was a kit from a friend. So, how do you decide to vary your delay time per instrument, says Quasar. By feel, everything starts with dotted eighths. And then if I feel adventurous, I'll go to just not dotted, eighths and then quarters. And if I'm feeling even more adventurous, I turn off tempo sync and I just start dialing it in. One of these days, I'm going to flip us back over to the analog side of the studio. And then when I get my hands on the matriarch, which is currently half disassembled, the delay on the matriarch can be synced, but it's way better if you don't tempo sync it. And then we'll get into that. So, Quasar, you know that. Was that like a leading question? I appreciate that. You're giving me content. All right, hold on. So when I accidentally click on anybody, it throws up this context dialog that's like, do you want to remove this person? Do you want to report them? Do you want to, yell at them for being bad? And it's like, no, I don't want to do that. And I'm always worried that I'm going to accidentally remove someone. All right, what else? I think that's it. Oh, carrots for bait. Well done, Biscuit. Yeah, Joe, if you can verify that it's oscillator sync. I'm sorry to give you a task. I know you're a task boy, but I try not to task people. And Richard Open says, I have the Todd Dog cases on OpSock. Yeah, it's quality. I think Garen has them as well. I've got 3. And if I get, he's not going to make any more, but he might have some like remnants if you email tall-dog, I think, .com. All right. Not sync the delay. Oh my God. I know. Okay. So let's make a little noise. It's 2:38. We did like 15 minutes at the beginning, and then I talked a whole hell of a lot. So let's put some stuff down. Anyway, where was I? So Berlin School. Okay, no sub on the bass. So I'm going to describe how I do this as I go. All right, so we're going to do a 1-bar pattern, and I am just going to throw a bunch of random notes in B flat, sort of pentatonic style. So if this is B flat minor, okay, I'm going to limit that to be B flat pentatonic minor, which would be those. And so those are all real harmonious with each other. And so I can just throw a random grouping of that into a bar as 16th notes and get a sort of Berlin smear going. So here we go. Let me edit this a little bit, clean it up. I'm gonna throw in a couple more notes. All right, so we've got that running. It's a 1-bar loop with this pentatonic smear. Now we're gonna go play with the delay. Let's do this. So let's take it out of sync for a change. Okay, so that's not in sync with the tempo, but it sounds good. All right. So you can get in there and sort of dial in the milliseconds, and it's going to go wonky. You'll hear weird pitching as it shifts the time around. And then we can turn the feedback up. And we'll just let that go. Okay, hang on. Let's double that. Delete. Need a longer sustained thing here. Bear with me. You see how the sausage is made here? Or hear how the sausage is made. All right, now let's put some Op 6 sparkles on top of that. Sparkles. Slow down with the jargon. It's not the worst. Oh my God. Citizen. All right, puns. I forgive you your puns. So the Op 6 is doing this sort of soft E-piano-y sparkly thing. Right, and the bass is doing the sort of bed. Right, and the mod wave is doing the sort of wub, 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 the wubs. So we'll take the horn from the wave 2 and sort of play over it. Let's do an experiment. I'm going to take this drone out. Now let's try playing different pitches out of the key, and we'll see if it works. So I want to do something. I really want the bass for playing low drums. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that bass pattern and I'm going to copy it over to the summit here. And I'm going to have it take over and we'll see how bad it sounds. So we'll take over there. Let me go back to our bass. Fix the mix here. All right, let's try some bass reharmonization. We're going to use the bass to change the sort of harmony by underlying the sort of what's going on in the low end. Whoops, too low. Record that. All right. Let that run for a bit. All right, let me go back to the questions. Thanks for tagging. Let me see. Bye, Marilyn. Let's see. Looked for that question. Okay, Isaac. What is this? What is it that's causing the wub effect? From the mod wave, from that patch, the oscillation is an envelope that's cycling and playing with the timbres in the patch. Let me see. It is too dark in here for me to see. There's 2 layers on the mod wave patch. Both are pulsing at a different rate. Man, I'm not set up to disassemble the patch because I got to drive through menus to do it, and I can't see because it's dark in here. But once again, that's a patch on the mod wave called Pulse Partials, so you could look it up. But yeah, basically, there's it's either an LFO or a cycling envelope, basically, and it's playing with probably both the filter. Because it's the mod wave, it's probably cycling through the wavetables themselves, actually. And maybe the amp. I don't think so, though. I don't think it's the amp. I think it's the wavetables and the filters that's cycling through. Yeah, soar in 10 minutes. Question from Don. Do I need to ask if that is the standalone push due to your fiscal responsibility? This is a push 3 running in controller mode. do not need a standalone push 3 to do what I'm doing here, because the standalone push 3 is not a failed experiment, but for what I do, I don't need a standalone, so I just use it in controller mode. Is this a standalone push? Yes, and I regret actually paying the extra for it because it's simply too big to fit effectively in my lap, because my lap is small, shall we say, because some of my lap is being taken up by my punch. So, yeah, that's why I like the Move. The Move fits in my lap much, much better. But if you're going to use a push, I recommend getting a push 2 for controller mode or push 3 if you want. A controller is probably a better choice. If you want it for standalone, it does work and it is good, but the workflow, you have to follow its workflow. I would not recommend buying one and then experimenting to see if it fits in your hardware-only workflow. That's an expensive route to potential disappointment, right? For some people, it's awesome, but for some people, it's a very expensive, sad thing. So get it in controller mode. You can always add on the standalone stuff later, right? Because it's modular. So just be aware. Oh, Recon, that's very nice of you. If you're talking about me making it look easy. Done. Good. All right. Do I find playing the push easier than standard keys, says Radio Gnome? No. All right. So let me close this out in the last few minutes here. All right. So let's go back to the Op 6. Okay. Is this easier to play than keys, than piano? No, it's different. If you search for Synth Seeker and grids, you'll find about 3 or 4 videos I made about grid keyboards and what's good about them and what's bad about them. And I did a seminar at the New England Synthesizer Festival a couple of years ago, and that's recorded out there as a video as well. And I talk about how this works, why it's good, why it's not good. Because this isn't the only mode you can play it in. This is chromatic mode. So this is like a piano in that the blue things are the root note, the white things are like the white keys on the piano, and the dark ones are like the black keys on the piano. Not exactly in my current configuration. That's an oversimplification, but that is effectively true. So you can play chords, like a 7th. Let's do this. All right. 256. If you're willing to hang out for a second, I will load up a piano and I will load up a piano and just demonstrate a couple chords real quick. So hang on. And if you need to go watch Soar, go watch Soar because that's important, family. But Radio Gnome, if you hang out for a second, hang on. Let me load a piano. All right. Okay, there's a quick piano. And we will very quickly throw a little reverb on it. Okay, piano. Is it easier to play? So like here's a C major chord. Well, here's a B flat major chord or minor. Right? Here's major. Right? Here's a 7. So it's different shapes than a linear piano, obviously, right? But it's not harder to play. It is harder to play really spread out things because a linear keyboard, like playing an 88 key piano, like you can spread your hands way out and play these really broad things. On a grid like the Push, you can only get about 5 octaves away from each other. And then you run out of space because the grid's only got 64 pads on it. And some of the notes repeat. So you really only have about 46 notes. And so you've got half the number of notes that you would on a full 88 key keyboard. But you can totally play chords or lines. The thing is, the shape doesn't change. On a piano style keyboard, when I play like a major chord, depending on what key you're in, the shape of where your fingers form is different from one key to the next, potentially. But that's a thing you can learn over time. Like piano linear keyboards have been around for hundreds of years. People totally can play them, right? It's the basis that we built a lot of Western music on, right? These grid keyboards are called isomorphic keyboards in that the shape of the chord never changes. So that's a major chord, a major triad. No matter where I play it, this shape you can see lit up, right? That shape is a major shape. So is this, right? And no matter where I move it, it's always the same shape. When you do that on a piano, the shape changes slightly. So it is easier to learn chord shapes on an isomorphic keyboard, but it's, easier / different. I like it. I play a lot of monophonic lines. Most of the lines I play 1 or 2 notes at a time. Okay? So I like it. If you're trying to learn theory, learning theory on a grid keyboard can be a little easier. Your mileage may vary. Okay. Let's see if I've missed any questions. Yeah. Luke has 3-foot fingers. No. You're thinking of my third leg. Let's see. If you play a fretted instrument, it makes sense really quickly. Yes, Jeff's got a great point. So if you look at the grid, think of this as an 8-stringed instrument. So it's like strings on a guitar or a bass, really closer to a bass than a guitar. And you can think of the rows as being frets. So the first one is 0 frets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So okay. So you could think of it that way. Think of it as a really short guitar with only 7 frets. Okay. But it's got 8 strings on it. All right. Hey, myopic mycelium. Okay. I see. Love your leads. That's why I asked. So the leads are, I'm at a point in playing a grid where I do a lot of licks. I got a lot of muscle memory. I'm not thinking about any of that. Just like a guitar player has muscle memory and their muscles learn patterns that they run through, I'm totally doing that. So if you hear me play fast, those are licks, muscle memory. But it's still nice to be able to think. So like putting in repetition. So I'm thinking about those. I'm thinking about those. That's about as fast as I can play and actually think about what notes I want to play. Anything faster than that, and it's muscle memory. Those are licks. That's me having played for a long time and my fingers remember where to go. And so I want the shape of a particular sound or the mood of a particular sound, and I let my fingers sort of do their thing. Okay, so if it makes sense. Let's see. All right, see you, Wookie. Later, Biscuit. Let's see. And do I also play piano keys? I do. But it's been so long that I don't play them very well. I also play bass and guitar, but it's been even longer since I do those. So, I mean, now that I've got I don't own a bass guitar anymore because this works for me. I don't want a bass guitar anymore. This works fine for me. So, that's how that works. So, the pad is like frets. Yeah. I hope that's useful. Great. Got a lot of muscle memory with that third leg. Yeah. Figures. Let's see. Sora is now live. Okay. So later, Steve, have fun. Everyone, if you don't know who Symptoms of Reality is, they're friends and family. So let's see. I will, let me go post a link. God, that's something I never do. Here, if you want to go check out another cool podcast / channel, I'm going to run over to this group here. Let me get the link from them. Share, copy. I'll put this in the chat for you guys. If you want to go run over to some buddies, they're very profane. So if you've got kids listening, they curse a lot. So you can go check them out. I'm going to go over there in about 10 minutes, but they're going to run for a couple hours probably, or at least an hour. So they make music and then they talk about all sorts of crazy things, interesting things, a little philosophy, a little bit of that. Romenet says, do you think a novice can grasp the isomorphic keyboard? Or how would they grasp the theory part of it? There are plenty of piano tutorials. There are good tutorials for grid keyboards. And some are free and some are not. I don't actually advocate any of them. Like, I don't want anyone to go spend money on classes, not because there aren't good teachers, but because unfortunately, music is a thing where people will take your money and sell you bullshit because it's a dream. They're preying on your hopes and dreams. You're like, I so want to play. I saw this guy, Synth Seeker, play, and I want to play like that. And so you project yourself into that, and then you give someone money because they say, we'll teach you how to play leads on a grid. And it might be good because there are good teachers out there. But there is unfortunately a lot of people who are preying on your dream of wanting to be, in that place where you're like, yeah, I'm playing. And they'll take your money and they'll give you a PDF that's got like things you can learn for free just by searching. So search for a while. I don't recommend any particular teacher because I have no way of vetting if they're good or bad. Okay. So search around, but be really careful who you give money to. There is training out there for playing the push. You could say how to play the push. And there'll be a lot of stuff about sampling and sample-based workflows, but you want to look for like push music theory. And you don't necessarily have to learn the theory, but it'll give you drills that'll help you play. Or search for grid keyboard playing, and you'll find some out there. One day I'll get around to like vetting some of them, but I don't want you to dump, $50 or $250 on something that's really just a PDF of a bunch of shapes on a grid drawn in. So you got to be careful. All right. But it's doable. Okay. Jervis has a stream today at 5 p.m. U.S. Eastern time. So we'll hang out there a little bit too. He's right after Symptoms of Reality. Davey, why are you blowing your stack? I hope I'm not upsetting you. Yeah, we need to see cats today. Yeah. Romenet, cool. I hope that's useful. All right, everyone. I'm well after 3. I'm going to shut her down. I stream every Sunday around this time. Generally, feel free to stop by. It's all good. And that's about it. All right. So be well, make some music, share it back. If you make some music, post a link somewhere. If you're on Discord, in one of the Discords I inhabit, send me a note. Okay. And if not, drop a comment on this video or whatever video that just says, here's a link to my stuff. It won't appear right away because I try and keep the spam down, but it'll show up and then I'll have to approve it. But I want to see your stuff. I want to listen to it. So let me know. Okay. I'll talk to you guys later.